Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to dive into the world of Indian renewable energy finance,
Okay.
specifically the recent performance of IREDA.
Ah, IREDA. They're like the backbone of India's push for green energy.
Exactly. So for those of you keeping tabs on this sector,
Right.
we're talking about the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, LTD, or IREDA.
Yeah.
They're essentially India's green bank funding all sorts of projects across the country.
Uh-huh.
And we've got their latest quarterly results hot off the press.
And let me tell you, these numbers are fascinating.
Yeah.
They really paint a picture of how India's renewable energy landscape is evolving.
Okay, well, let's not bury the lead.
Right.
Their revenue jumped a whopping 36% in Q3 of FY25 compared to last year.
Wow.
That's a huge leap to 1,698 crore.
Yeah, it's big.
Now, I know crore might sound like a made-up word, but it's a big deal in India,
Right.
equal to 10 million rupees.
It's a clear indication that the demand for renewable energy financing in India is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
IREDA is riding that wave, and these results show they're doing it effectively.
So revenue is up, but what about the bottom line?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Did they actually turn that revenue into profit?
Oh, absolutely. Their profit after tax for Q3 soared by 27% year on year.
Nice.
And for the 9 months ending in December, their revenue from operations hit a massive 4,838 crore,
Wow.
a 35% increase from the previous year.
So it's not just growth,
Right?
it's profitable growth.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the sweet spot any company aims for.
Yeah.
But it's especially impressive given the global economic headwinds everyone's facing.
Yeah, that's true.
You've got to wonder what's their secret sauce.
Well, a big part of it is their smart approach to lending. They're
Ah.
not just throwing money at any project that comes their way.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Take their non-performing assets, or NPAs, for example.
Okay, pause right there.
Sure.
For those of us who aren't financial wizards, break down what an NPA is and why we should care.
Okay, so imagine you lend money to a friend and they can't pay you back. That's basically an NPA.
Okay,
It's a loan that's gone bad.
I see.
A high NPA ratio is like a red flag for a financial institution.
So what's IREDA's NPA situation?
That's the interesting part.
Okay.
Their gross NPA ratio actually decreased to 2.68% as of December 31st, 2024, compared to 2.90% a year earlier.
So they're growing rapidly
Uh-huh.
and getting better at managing risk.
Right.
That's a powerful combination.
Yeah.
It tells me they're not just chasing quick wins, they're building a sustainable business for the long haul.
Exactly.
But let's get into the specifics of what they're actually financing.
Sure.
What does their loan portfolio look like?
Well,
Are they putting all their eggs in one basket?
not at all.
Okay, good.
What's remarkable about IREDA is their diversified approach.
Okay.
They're financing a wide range of renewable energy projects, from your classic solar and wind to bioenergy and even cutting-edge technologies like green hydrogen.
So they're betting on the familiar favorites, but also keeping an eye on the future.
You could say that.
Smart.
Uh-huh.
It's like a balanced investment portfolio, but for green energy.
Right.
But are they geographically diversified too, or are they concentrated in just a few areas?
Great question. And the answer is a resounding yes.
Okay, good.
IREDA's reach extends across 23 states and 4 union territories in India.
Wow.
They're spreading the love, ensuring that the growth of renewable energy benefits the entire country.
All right, so IREDA is doing a lot, right?
Yeah, seems like it.
They're financially solid, they're diversifying their risks, and they're playing a key role in India's clean energy push. But let's not sugarcoat it. Every company has challenges.
That's true.
What are some of the potential roadblocks IREDA might face?
Well, one challenge is the evolving regulatory landscape.
Okay.
The renewable energy sector in India is heavily influenced by government policies, which can change.
So any policy shift, like changes in subsidies or incentives, could throw a wrench in their plans.
Exactly.
They need to be agile and adaptable to navigate these changes.
Makes sense.
Another potential challenge is competition, right? More players are entering the renewable energy financing space, attracted by the growth potential.
Precisely.
Yeah.
IREDA needs to constantly innovate and offer competitive financing solutions to maintain its leadership position.
So they're playing in a dynamic and evolving field.
Yeah,
It's not all smooth sailing.
that's for sure.
But hey, that's what makes this sector so exciting to follow.
Absolutely. And IREDA, based on what we've seen so far, seems to be up for the challenge.
Before we move on, I just want to touch on one more thing that struck me as really interesting.
Okay.
They've recently set up a subsidiary in a place called Gift City.
Interesting.
What's the significance of that move? What's so special about Gift City?
Gift City is a fascinating development.
Yeah.
It stands for Gujarat International Finance Tech City,
Okay.
and it's India's first international financial services center.
Mm.
It's like a special economic zone designed to be a global financial hub.
So by setting up shop, there is IREDA aiming to attract foreign investment. Is that the big play?
You hit the nail on the head. They're looking to tap into a global pool of capital and attract foreign currency financing for their projects.
Okay.
It's a strategic move that could significantly expand their funding options.
That's pretty savvy.
Uh-huh.
Like they're taking their game to the international stage.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's just one example of how IREDA is thinking ahead and positioning itself for the future.
All right. So we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But there's one crucial perspective we haven't touched on yet.
Okay, what's that?
The investor's point of view.
Oh, yes, of course.
I know a lot of you listening are probably wondering,
Right.
Should I be investing in IREDA?
Good question.
Well, we'll dive deep into that question in our next segment.
Okay, sounds good.
Stay tuned.
All right.
All right, so we've established that IREDA is a key player in India's renewable energy scene.
Right.
They're financially strong,
Yeah.
have a diverse portfolio, and seem to be making all the right moves.
Uh-huh.
But now let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
What's this mean for you as an investor?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's one we get asked a lot.
I bet.
IREDA has been generating a lot of buzz in the stock market.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Their initial public offering, or IPO, back in 2023 was a huge success.
Right.
And their stock has been on an upward climb ever since.
Okay, so past performance is great and all,
Sure.
but investors are always looking forward.
Of course.
What are the key factors to consider when sizing up IREDA as a potential investment?
Well, first and foremost, you've got to look at their financials.
Right.
And as we've discussed, they're rock solid.
Right.
They've got a history of consistent revenue and profit growth, which is always a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, their balance sheet is healthy, indicating they're managing their debt well.
And let's not forget those dividends.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Everyone loves a company that shares its profits with its investors.
Right. They've been consistently paying out dividends.
Yeah.
And with their strong earnings, that's likely to continue. It's a nice little bonus for investors who are in it for the long haul.
But beyond just the numbers,
Sure.
there's a growing trend of investors looking at ESG factors.
Yeah.
Environmental, social, and governance.
Yeah. ESG is huge these days.
How does IREDA stack up in that department?
This is where IREDA truly shines.
Okay.
They're not just about making money. They're about making a positive impact.
Right.
They're at the forefront of India's clean energy transition, and their commitment to sustainability is woven into everything they do.
So for investors who want their money to do good while also doing well, IREDA seems like a solid choice.
Absolutely. They offer a unique opportunity to invest in a company that's both financially sound and aligned with your values.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Risk.
Okay.
Every investment comes with some level of risk.
That's right.
So what are some potential downsides investors should be aware of when it comes to IREDA?
Well, one thing to consider is the regulatory environment. As we mentioned earlier, the renewable energy sector in India is heavily regulated.
Right. Government policies can change, and those changes could impact IREDA's profitability.
So, for example, if the government suddenly decided to slash subsidies for solar projects, that could create a ripple effect and hurt IREDA's bottom line.
Exactly.
Okay.
Another factor is competition.
Right.
The renewable energy financing market in India is getting more crowded every day.
Yeah, it's a hot space right now.
IREDA needs to stay ahead of the game and continue to offer attractive financing packages to remain competitive.
It's like any other industry, right?
Very much.
If you don't innovate and adapt, you risk getting left behind.
Precisely.
Okay.
And then there's always the wild card of unforeseen events like natural disasters or major economic downturns, which could impact any business, IREDA included.
Those are certainly things to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
But overall, do you think the potential rewards of investing in IREDA outweigh the risks?
Based on their track record and their current trajectory, I'd say the potential upside is significant.
The renewable energy sector in India is poised for explosive growth in the coming years, and IREDA is perfectly positioned to capitalize on that growth.
So for investors who believe in India's clean energy future and are looking for a long-term growth opportunity, IREDA is definitely worth a closer look.
I'd agree. Of course, every investor has their own risk tolerance and financial goals.
Right.
But for those who are seeking a company that's financially solid, ethically sound, and riding a wave of future growth, IREDA is certainly a compelling option.
All right, so we've talked about the financials, the ESG factors, and the potential risks.
Uh-huh.
But what about the concrete actions IREDA is taking to secure its future?
Okay.
What are some of their key initiatives and plans?
One area they're focusing on is expanding their reach into new and emerging renewable energy technologies.
Like what?
Think green hydrogen, offshore, wind battery storage, all the exciting stuff that's going to shape the future of
Well,
energy.
they're not just sticking with the tried and true. They're looking ahead and investing in innovation.
Absolutely. And they're not just throwing money at these new technologies.
Okay.
They're actively partnering with technology providers, research institutions, and industry experts to ensure they're backing the right horses, so to speak.
It sounds like they're taking a proactive and strategic approach, not just reacting to market trends.
Exactly.
But what about their geographical footprint?
Right.
Are they planning to expand beyond India?
Yes, their international expansion plans are quite interesting.
Oh, really?
We've already touched on their subsidiary in Gift City to attract foreign investment,
Right.
but they're also exploring opportunities to finance renewable energy projects in other countries, particularly in South Asia and Africa.
Wow. That's a bold move,
It is.
taking their expertise and replicating their success in new markets.
Yeah.
But do you think they can pull it off?
I believe they have a strong chance of success.
Okay.
They've built a solid brand reputation, their business model is proven, and they have a deep understanding of the renewable energy sector. Plus, the demand for clean energy financing is growing globally, so they're entering a market with huge potential.
Speaking of expanding their reach, let's circle back to that retail subsidiary they're planning to launch.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
You mentioned earlier that it's a way to democratize access to green financing.
Exactly.
How exactly will that work?
Well, the idea is to allow individual investors like you and me to invest directly in IREDA and support the growth of renewable energy.
So instead of relying solely on large institutional investors, they're opening up opportunities for everyday people to get involved.
Right.
I love that idea.
It's about giving everyone a chance to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
And from a business perspective, it also helps IREDA diversify their investor base and create a more sustainable funding model.
So it's a win-win situation.
I think so.
They get access to more capital, and individuals get to invest in something they believe in.
Exactly. It's a smart move that aligns perfectly with their commitment to sustainability and social responsibility.
Now, before we wrap up this segment, I want to revisit something we touched on earlier. IREDA's commitment to corporate governance and transparency.
Right.
It seems they're setting a new standard for companies in India.
They really are.
They've implemented a robust corporate governance framework that goes above and beyond what's required.
Uh-huh.
They have a diverse and independent board of directors, strong internal controls, and they're committed to ethical and transparent business practices.
And it's not just talk. They walk the walk.
Exactly.
They publish detailed financial reports, hold regular investor meetings, and are very responsive to questions from the media and the public.
That level of openness and accountability is refreshing, especially in a corporate landscape where transparency isn't always a given.
I agree.
Their commitment to good governance not only benefits IREDA, it also boosts confidence in the entire renewable energy sector.
Right.
It's a signal to investors that this is a sector they can trust.
Absolutely. IREDA is leading by example and showing other companies that it's possible to be both profitable and responsible.
So to sum up, IREDA seems to be firing on all cylinders.
It does seem that way.
They're financially sound, strategically savvy, committed to sustainability, and they're setting a high bar for corporate governance.
Yeah.
It's a compelling story, and one that I think a lot of investors are going to find attractive.
I think so too.
But now let's shift gears and explore the broader implications of IREDA's success for India's ambitious renewable energy goals.
Okay.
What does their performance tell us about the future of clean energy in India?
Good question.
Stay with us. We've spent this episode unpacking IREDA's success story, but what does it all mean for the big picture? How does IREDA's performance tie into India's clean energy ambitions?
That's where things get really interesting. IREDA's success isn't just about one company doing well. It's a powerful signal that India's renewable energy transition is picking up steam. Remember, India has set an ambitious goal of reaching 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel energy capacity by 2030.
That's a massive undertaking. It's like trying to rebuild the entire U.S. power grid, but with solar panels and wind turbines.
Exactly. It requires a ton of investment, innovation, and coordination. And IREDA is playing a crucial role in making it happen. Their diverse portfolio, financing everything from massive solar farms to cutting-edge green hydrogen projects, shows just how broad India's renewable energy push really is.
And it's not just about the sheer amount of money they're lending. The fact that they're supporting projects across 23 states and 4 union territories tells me they're committed to making this a truly national effort.
Right, it's about bringing clean energy to every corner of India, not just the big cities. That's vital for creating a just and equitable energy transition where everyone benefits.
And remember how we talked about their focus on asset quality? That's not just good business sense, it's essential for building a sustainable renewable energy sector.
Absolutely. IREDA's careful lending practices are helping to reduce risk and attract more investors to the sector. And that's key because achieving India's renewable energy goals is going to require a flood of investment, not just a trickle.
But let's be realistic. Even with all the progress being made, there are bound to be bumps in the road. What are some of the challenges India might face in its quest for a clean energy future?
One of the biggest hurdles is the need for a modern and robust grid infrastructure. Think of it like this. If you suddenly have a ton of solar and wind power coming online, you need a way to get that electricity to where it's needed when it's needed. And India's existing grid, in many areas, is just not equipped to handle that.
So it's like having a high-speed internet connection, but your home wiring is from the 1950s.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the full benefit.
Precisely. Upgrading the grid is a massive undertaking requiring billions of dollars in investment and a ton of coordination between the government, utilities, and private companies.
That's a big lift.
Yeah.
What else is on the challenge list?
Another challenge is ensuring a smooth and fair transition for workers and communities that currently depend on fossil fuels. As India moves away from coal, oil, and gas, we need to make sure those who rely on those industries aren't left behind.
It's about creating new opportunities, offering retraining programs, and supporting communities as they adapt to this new energy landscape.
Exactly. And finally, there's the ongoing challenge of technological innovation. While India has made huge strides in deploying existing renewable energy technologies, we need to keep pushing the boundaries and investing in R&D to drive down costs and improve efficiency.
So IREDA's role goes beyond just writing checks. They need to be constantly scouting out the next big thing in clean energy and supporting those innovations.
Right, they need to be a catalyst for change, helping to bring those cutting-edge technologies to market.
Now, stepping back for a moment, it's important to remember that India's energy transition isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a global movement to address climate change.
And India, as one of the world's largest and fastest-growing economies, has a critical role to play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Their success in switching to clean energy can have a ripple effect around the world, encouraging other countries to step up their efforts.
So IREDA's success isn't just a win for India, it's a win for the planet.
Couldn't agree more. It's a hopeful sign that we can tackle this massive challenge and create a more sustainable future for everyone.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what stands out to you as the biggest takeaway from IREDA's story?
For me, it's the realization that India's clean energy transition isn't just a dream, it's happening right now. IREDA's strong financial performance, their strategic vision, and their commitment to sustainability all point to a future where India is a global leader in renewable energy.
And it's a transition that's being driven not just by government mandates, but by a growing wave of enthusiasm from businesses, investors, and everyday citizens. That's what makes it so powerful and so promising.
Exactly. It's a movement that's gaining momentum every day.
So here's a final thought for our listeners to ponder. As India's renewable energy sector continues to evolve at this breakneck pace, what new opportunities and challenges do you think will emerge for IREDA? How can they maintain this incredible momentum and ensure they remain at the forefront of this dynamic and rapidly growing sector? Something to think about as we continue to explore the exciting world of clean energy.
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. The future of clean energy in India is bright, and IREDA is undoubtedly a company to watch.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into IREDA and the future of clean energy in India. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.